While a lot of people following music right now are preoccupied with the Drake Kendrick beef, there was a song that was released that actually has some meaning and matters. Macklemore released a song, which normally I'm not going to do a video about. But he released a song that is called Hind's Hall. This is a song in support of these ongoing campus protests and in support of peace and against the genocide going on in Gaza. So I'm going to go over some of the lyrics in this song and help you give you context to, or help give context to what all of this means and why this matters, why this song I think is just incredibly on point in terms of the issues it discusses in a way that I have not seen any other piece of art do over the last 6 months. It is incredible to the separation of what is going on and of what is going on in Gaza and the art world, be it music, be it movies, be it music. This is almost not discussed at all, and we are talking over 30,000 casualties, civilian casualties in Gaza. We no longer have an accurate count because there is no infrastructure in place in Gaza anymore to properly count what is going on. Over 100,000 injuries. Again, these counts come from, I believe, late February. So we simply do not know the actual numbers. We do know that there is an ongoing genocide, ethnic cleansing, and this is in addition to the ongoing apartheid. And all of this is touched on by Macklemore in this fantastic song. So it's called Hind's Hall. Now, I'm going to get to more on who Hind is, Hind Rajab, at the end of this video. But Hind's Hall is actually Hamilton Hall on the Columbia University campus. And there is a long history of student takeovers of Hamilton Hall. This is during the Vietnam War protests. Students took it over back then. Just to give you the context of, I'm seeing a lot. Again, I've covered a lot of the propaganda over the past couple of weeks about these protests. One of the most amazing ones, I can't believe these students are taking over a building. Do you have no historical context to any of this and understanding, other protests and the success of those protests, be it against South African apartheid, be it against the Vietnam War? It's one thing for an average person not to know. I get it. For the media to not give you the context is just pure propaganda. So understanding the context here of Hamilton Hall, and in this case, Hind's Hall. Let's get to the first lyric I want to touch on in this song. So he says here, the problem isn't the protests, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding. So again, this goes to the ongoing media narrative, again, not all media, but a lot of media, criticizing the protests as opposed to what the protests are actually about and what the country is funding. Again, understand that these protests, a lot of these universities, their finances are intertwined with Israel and companies that are weapons manufacturers that are engaged in the ongoing bombardment of Gaza. That is why these campus protests are very targeted for divestment from those companies. And in addition, of course, the U.S. government heavily invested in military aid to Israel. I mean, it's not even close comparing to other countries. So, as this is from CFR.org, Israel has been the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid since its founding, receiving almost $300 billion, just for inflation, in total economic and military assistance. Going on to right here, the U.S. has provisionally agreed to provide Israel with nearly $4 billion a year through 2028. And this is just, by the way, I believe till the end of 2023, these numbers. Data for 2023 is partially reported. So this isn't even all of 2023, which would include this. So this is more recently, but there was money, I believe about $14 billion at the end of 2023. Then you have this from the Times of Israel, House OK, $17 billion in military aid for Israel under major spending package. This ongoing military support to the Israeli government as they're continuing their ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Politicians who serve by any means, AIPAC, CUFI, and all the companies. So this goes to, there's so many examples I could do, 3 hours on the amount of money that politicians have received from the right-wing Israeli lobby. But here's just a specific example from AIPAC Tracker. These 12 U.S. senators have received $6.8 million from AIPAC and the Israel lobby. The reason why these senators are being pointed out, I'll get to the names in a second, is because of this. As Mehdi Hassan writes, the letter from 12 Republican senators threatening the International Criminal Court chief prosecutor with severe consequences for him, his family, and staff, sounds like a threat to me, if he goes ahead with an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who of course is at the head of a lot of what is going on, and Netanyahu released a video, I believe, last week. Basically, I mean, he's scared. The ICC is coming after him, and now you have Republican senators in a completely different country coming out in support of his absolute destruction of Gaza and Palestinians. So the senators listed here, the ones that were given all this money, these are, and again, these aren't the only ones. A lot of politicians in Washington are backed by AIPAC, which also goes to why a lot of politicians are not willing to actually do anything when it comes to what Israel is committing here. But these ones specifically, we're talking about Tom Cotton, Marsha Blackburn, Ted Budd, Ted Cruz, Pete Ricketts, Rick Scott, Mitch McConnell, Kate Boyd Britt, Kevin Kramer, Bill Hagerty, Marco Rubio, and Tim Scott. So that's those individuals. Let's be clear, Democrats as well. John Fetterman has received, he's a new senator. He's already received, I believe, around $300,000 from AIPAC. So this is just, it's an ongoing problem when you have this much money tied up in these politicians from a right-wing Israeli government, and they essentially back what that government does, regardless of what they're doing. You can ban TikTok, take us out the algorithm, but it's too late. We've seen the truth. We bear witness, seen the rubble, the buildings, the mothers, and the children. This TikTok ban, that obviously this is speaking on here, has not been instituted yet. There's a runway here where TikTok can I guess sell to an American, and that makes it okay to steal your data, apparently. But this goes to why they are so focused on TikTok. It's not really because of China, though that's a part of it. That's part of their whole fear mongering. But Mitt Romney spells it out here. Senator Mitt Romney links TikTok ban to pro-Palestinian content. So, just outright saying, too many people are becoming informed about the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. It's very dangerous for people to be this informed about a genocide. So it's really good that we're banning it. Just amazing. Of course, he's received nearly $1 million from AIPAC and the Israel lobby. Matt Bender here writing, I'm no lawyer, but I have to assume that all of these congressmen explicitly saying, quote, we ban TikTok because its users talk too pro-Palestinian has got to be good for TikTok's legal case against the ban. I would hope so. So again, it's not actually banned yet. It has passed, but there's some runway here. We're going to see if they can properly fight this, because it's obvious why they are doing this. We see the lies in them, claiming it's anti-Semitic to be anti-Zionist. I've seen Jewish brothers and sisters out there and rioting in solidarity and screaming Free Palestine with them. This goes to the ongoing bullshit that it is to criticize the Israeli government is to be anti-Semitic. As if you can't criticize a government. That's what you're telling me. This is what we're being told by prominent individuals in media, prominent politicians telling us, no, you are anti-Semitic if you criticize the Israeli government. It's completely insane. And Macklemore also speaks to here how Jewish individuals, in many cases, they're the ones leading these human rights protests. They're the ones on the side of human rights for Palestinians. They're the ones against the ethnic cleansing. So it's very important not to conflate the Israeli government with Jewish people. I hope that's very clear, that they're two very separate things, because you have groups like Jewish Voice for Peace here at the front of these protests for peace for Palestinians. Going on to, they write on the website here, Jewish Voice for Peace is the largest progressive Jewish anti-Zionist organization in the world. There's also Independent Jewish Voices. I believe that's a Canadian one. There are various Jewish groups. There's B'Tselem, an Israel-based human rights organization that has been very critical of the ongoing apartheid and the mass atrocities being committed by Israel. So it's, again, to conflate Jewish people with what the government is doing is absurd. There's also this from Zateo. I covered this, I believe, last week or the week before. I am a Jewish student at Columbia. Don't believe what you're being told about campus anti-Semitism. So this is a student who goes on to discuss, his fight for Palestinians and and what he's actually afraid of in these protests, and it's not other protesters. So it's a great piece worth reading. Again, I link to all my stuff below the video if you want to read through any of this, but I'll also link to this video as well that I cover this. A state that's got to rely on an apartheid system to uphold an occupying violent history, been repeating for the last 75. This goes to the apartheid system. This is why this is not just, this is a great song. It's not just about these campus protests or even about the past 6 months. It gives you a lot of context here in terms of what has been going on for decades. So in terms of the apartheid, this is from the United Nations. Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory is apartheid. This is from a UN rights expert. So the UN Special Rapporteur's report echoes recent findings by Palestinian, Israeli, and international human rights organizations who analyzed Israel's 55-year occupation of the Palestinian territory. Quote, there is today in the Palestinian territory occupied by Israel since 1967 a deeply discriminatory, dual legal and political system that privileges the 700,000 Israeli Jewish settlers living in the 300 illegal Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. A separate sets of rights depending on who you are. This is the apartheid system in place in Israel. And this has been well documented by other groups as well. Amnesty International, Israel's apartheid against Palestinians, a cruel system of domination and crime against humanity. Human Rights Watch, another one, a threshold crossed, Israeli authorities and the crimes of apartheid and persecution. And notice the dates here. 2021, 2022. I'm not sure where the UN one is from. There's a date on this, 2022. Just to give you an idea, it's not just the last 6 months. This has been going on for a long time in terms of the apartheid, in terms of the domination, the control over Palestinians by the Israeli government. Never be defeated when freedom's on the horizon, yet the music industry's quiet, complicit in their platform of silence. Has any other major artist released a song about this? It may have happened. Like, I don't know. So if it has, comments below. I'll show you an independent artist in a second here who has. But I can't, I'm sure, I know celebrities have spoken up on this, though not a whole lot of them, but there have been some celebrities who have raised their voice about this. The Weeknd has donated a lot of money to helping Gazans. I don't think he's released a song about it. I'm sure he hasn't. Not that they all have to, but it has been a little bizarre to see just the complete silence when music historically has been incredibly important in fights for human rights. Think back to Vietnam, the number of songs that were against the Vietnam War. So this is just, it's, who knows what the reason is? I know there's definitely a fear out there that criticizing the Israeli government, you may be seen as anti-Semitic. Again, how absurd. It's completely absurd. But there is that fear out there because some view it that way. But you'd hope there would be a little more about this. There is this independent artist. I believe it's No Shoe. Comrade, go hard with the jug. So I'm gonna link to this below the video. Again, I'm not gonna play it. You should give him the place. It's on Spotify. Look up the Bonk song. The Bonk song is out on Spotify now. So check it out. This is the only other song I've really seen addressing either these protests or what's happened in the past 6 months. So it'd be nice to see if some more artists spoke up about this. If I was on a label, you could drop me today. I'd be fine with it because the heart fed my page. I want a ceasefire, F a response from Drake. What you willing to risk, what you willing to give. Now, I saw a couple of responses online thinking this was like a jab at Drake. People are really dying for just for rap beefs here. This is not a shot at Drake. This is a shot at the obsession with this back and forth between Drake and Kendrick, which, look, you are allowed to enjoy. It's okay to be entertained by things. You don't have to sit at home being sad all day. just so we're clear on that. But this is a shot at just the fact that there has been complete silence about this genocide, this ongoing ethnic cleansing. And yet there's been this obsession with, personal beef between two rappers, which again, you are allowed to enjoy. Don't worry. But again, a lot of silence so far on what's been going on. Great endorsement here. Tom Morello writing on Twitter, honestly, Macklemore's Hind's Hall is the most Rage Against the Machine song since Rage Against the Machine. And this goes to the name of the song, Hind's Hall. So I will link to this below. Actually, I'll link to this one especially. If you want to see a video on it, Democracy Now! Does a good breakdown. But the Washington Post headline here, Palestinian paramedics said Israel gave them safe passage to save a 6-year-old girl in Gaza, and they were all killed. So this is Hind Rajab, and she was with her family, and then 2 paramedics tried to save her. All casualties of the IDF. Now, look, there's an incredibly sad, deep story to this. She was on the phone with emergency services trying to get help, and when they went to help her, they were also killed. So it's, again, watch the Democracy Now! Clip on this if you want the deeper breakdown, but that gives you the context to the name of Hind's Hall. It would be nice if we saw some more artists, not just music, but I don't know, TV, movies, people that have power, that have platforms, speak out about this. I think this is what really helps to, change culture, change public perception. Then again, public perception is, as we've seen from a lot of polls now, already on the side of human rights. They want peace. They want a ceasefire. It's tough to know what else can be done in terms of, or what needs to be done, I should say, in terms of the public perception, because the public is already there. It's really, is there the political will to change what's happening?